speak. Okay, May. First of all, I want to get your name, so tell me your first and last name and give me the spelling of your name also.
My name is May Harvey, Mayharvey.
Okay, I'm glad to meet you once again. I wanted to just ask you, how did you hear about the event today? How did you end up here?
Well, my daughter was one of the singers in the Whitney Young's gospel choir, so I brought her.
They were excellent.
Yes, they were.
That really added. I can't imagine the program without having them here. So if you weren't here, where else would you have been today?
Well, I had today off, so I would be at home, and I would be watching and listening to some of the programs that would be on television and on the radio.
Well, someone who pays attention to that things, then what did you think of the program here today?
I really thought this was a worthwhile program. I'm sorry that this was the only way I would have been here. You know, I was speaking to another lady from the HistoryMakers organization, telling her that had it not been for my daughter participating, I would not have known about it. But I felt like it made the day productive.
Is there anything about the program, any person or anything that was said that stands out in your mind that really kind of struck you as most memorable?
Well, I think everything everyone had to say was very memorable. The things I guess that stick out and that I have even said myself were what Ms. Hartman said about, some of the issues she brought up, talking about what we as a people need to do, talking about segregation and how when desegregation came about, it seemed to have pulled, those bonds from the community. And I do agree with that, because I look at it, not necessarily desegregation, but I'm looking at how when, children are being bused to different schools, how now communities are not as strong as they used to be because people don't know one another.
It seems like that's true, and it seems like, I believe that's true, and it seems like there are a lot of forces right now that are sort of working against improving the situation. Is there anything that came out of this discussion this morning that you think really constructively addressed what we can do? Because everybody is asking that question, how do we move forward?
Well, a lot of it is that the young people do have to step up because they are the future, as that's always being stated, and they have to take the lead and claim ownership and decide what type of future they want.
Now, you said your daughter was in the choir. Did you talk to her about the program? Is she here? Can we talk to her?
Yes, my daughter's here, and yes, you can talk to her.
Okay, great. Well, let's do that right now.
Okay.
Just pass the mic over. Thank you so much, May. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate your helping us out. Tell me your first and last name and give me the spelling.
The spelling?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Brittany Tidwell. My name is spelled BRITTANYTIDWELL.
Okay, great. Now, we just talked to your mom, right?
Yeah.
And you were part of the choir that provided that really great music.
Yes.
What was the event like for you? What did you think of what you heard, the speakers talk about?
Hold on. We need to move the lady in the white shirt.
Just let's start in a different mode. What does Martin Luther King Day mean to you?
It means a day that it shows me that if he wasn't around, or if he didn't have such a great impact on America, then I wouldn't be able to go to the school that I go to now. I go to Whitney Young High School, and it's a very diverse high school. And if Martin Luther King didn't have such a big impact on America, then I wouldn't be able to go to such a great school.
Now, what were your impressions of the program today, speakers and everything that happened here?
That was a very good program because I got a lot out of it, because they brought people who've been through the struggle, I'll call it, and they have a lot of advice to the young people, telling us to rise up and don't just settle for what's happening. You have to have your own voice, make your own choices. So what they were telling us during the program made a lot of sense, because they were saying that America, they just settling for what the media is telling us to do, but not really doing things for ourselves. So it was a very good program.
Did you have anything that stood out in your mind most of what was said? Anything specific or a specific speaker that really struck you or impressed you?
All of them impressed me because they all had a different perspective, leading towards the same thing. So all of them impressed me.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I
Okay.
appreciate it. Good job. Good job. And thank you for your singing. Yeah. And I'm just going to start by asking you to give me your name and the spelling of your name so that if we put a subtitle in, we get the spelling right.
Can you step back a little?
Yeah, I will. Okay, go ahead. Tell me your name and first and last name and spelling.
My name is Barbara J. Baker. It's spelled B-A-R-A, J, like in jam, and Baker, B-A-K-E-R.
Okay, that's simple enough. What do you do, Barbara?
I'm the co-chair of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparation, Chicago chapter.
Okay. Now, how did you happen to hear about the program, or what brought you here today?
Well, I've been working with the volunteers for the HistoryMakers, and it's just such a wonderful program. And I thought, what a subject to cover, because this program was such a important program because it was functional, in that we recognize Dr. King's birthday by talking about the various philosophies he had and the things that he helped to make come true. And also it stirred us to another level of trying to decide what we can do now to keep that dream alive, so that it's not all over with. It should never be dead, because justice has not been given yet. So that's what brought me here today. And with the fine panelists they had, I said, oh, I've got to hear them. And to hear the 93-year-old man, oh, the judge, that was wonderful. I never knew about him. So it was a very learning experience for me as well.
Good deal. So what do you think what should we be doing? What did you get out of the discussion today that gives you more insight into what we can be doing that we're not doing? What did you learn? I guess.
Well, what I really learned, and I tried to do that once when I heard Dick Gregory speak. He said that we are wimps if we let the drug dealers come into our neighborhood. So what I heard today at this program is that we should be doing something about these injustices. We should be down in Louisiana marching about how the Katrina victims were treated. We should be doing something about it. We're too passive. Letter writing is fine. Email is fantastic. We should be doing something about it. That's what I learned today.
Do you think programs like this today contribute to building that kind of an effort or that kind of a coalition?
Oh, I hope it does. I hope it does, because that's so important. So important. And I was really impressed when I went to the museum in Atlanta, the Dr. King Museum in Atlanta, and I saw the wonderful exhibit, and just reading something I purchased too that talked about parts of his speeches that are never printed. And that part where he says that, America, your check has come back, none sufficient funds. That is so appropriate for reparation movement. You know, we need the checks to go through. And when I say checks, I mean things like justice in the penal system, equal opportunities, I mean affordable housing, all the things that make things right. And you know what? Once I sat in a senior citizen event, and it was this lady who was just so sick, and she could hardly get up to the chair. And I said, I know you go for physical therapy. You know what she told me? She said, no, I can't afford it. We should have health care whereby everybody who needs health care can get it. That's a fight we should be fighting for, because we're living longer now. We need this.
You know, I heard a couple of the people on the panel, and a couple of the remarks were acknowledging and respecting the young people and also challenging them to get involved. How do you think we do that, and do you think programs like this today are helpful in that regard? Are we doing enough with the Martin Luther King holiday to get people to understand what the challenges are? Given, I mean, we have a great legacy, but we still have great challenges associated with realizing that. Do you think this worked well in terms of young people, and how do we get them involved?
We must reach our young people. They're our future. And we talk about this in our reparation movement. We say we want the young people involved. And we interviewed a few young people. And you know what they say? They say they want something quick. So we have to bring to them something that would seem like it's going to be a quick answer, and maybe they'll get involved. But we must get them involved. And this is a point. The fact that we had youngsters here entertaining, that's good. They will tell their friends about it, so that would help get them involved. So we must keep reaching out.
Great. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay.
I appreciate you helping us out both
All
as a
right.
volunteer and as a testimonial spokesperson.
My name is Taylor Beale. That's Taylorbeale.
Okay. That's good enough.
And
And your name?
Jasmine Shaw, Jasmineshaw.
Okay. And you're both with the choir?
She is.
Okay, she's with the choir. How did you come to be here?
I came with my cousin. She's in the Whitney Young Choir.
Okay. Okay. Good. And you are you both students?
Yes.
Yeah.
At Whitney Young?
She goes to Whitney Young, and I go to Curie Metropolitan High School.
Okay. Okay. And one at a time, but tell me what you're planning on doing after high school. What your area of interest is, if you have one. If you don't, that's okay.
You want to go first? I want to be a scientist, maybe like a physicist or like a biochemist, something like that. And because I really like chemistry and stuff like that, and chemicals and stuff. I want to be able to help my people, like black people with AIDS and stuff like that, and just find different cures and just have fun with it and stuff like that.
Well, that sounds great. Did you have any thoughts yet about what
Yes,
you want to do?
I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I just like to listen to people and help them out on different issues that they go through. Cause I might be young, but then, I go through different stuff too. So if I take that up and study, then I think I can help other people.
Okay, I want to just ask you too. I know you were, half of you were participants, but as far as the speakers and the program, what did you think of it? How did it strike you?
It amazed me because I didn't think a lot of people knew that much history. They went back way more than my mother was born and stuff like that. I mean, I asked my grandmother stuff that happened and she told me, but it was just how we fought for it. Here, we talked about it and we still have issues nowadays. And I'm like, okay, well, Dr. Martin Luther King did stuff and Rosa Parks did stuff, Thurgood Marshall did things, and I'm like, okay, they did a lot of stuff, but it's still more problems and more problems that complicated from that issue that went on when they were alive. And so we still have more things to do. And they were saying young people, and I was thinking, well, what can I do right now for my people right now to help the issues in America? And it's a lot that we can still do. And I'm just thinking, wow, we still have a lot of issues that's going on in the world today, and maybe we can help right now, this moment.
And what did you think of the program?
I enjoyed the program. Also, I was just to look at them and see how they historians and that they personally knew Dr. Martin Luther King and his views on different things. And they, the crowd was participating they were having a great time listening to the historians. And I support everything they was talking about because I believe that we as young people can do something because we still got a future and we got to change the future as far as racism and stuff like that because it's hard for us sometimes, but I don't know. I think it's a good cause.
Do you have any thoughts, either that you had already or based on the program today, about how you would go about trying to bring about some of this change?
It was an organization that came to Whitney Young beforehand. It was saying, okay, it's a war going on right now, and we as young people need to do something about it. They wanted us to come out of class and have a march and stuff like that. People from all over the country is going to do this on the same day also. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't because maybe my principal, Dr. Kinder, might say something. And now I'm thinking about it maybe I should have done that. Maybe it would have made a difference now. Maybe the war would have been over if more people would have joined. And I think it's a good cause what they're doing today, okay? Because black people, African Americans need to know what's going on, not just what's going on in books, but what's going on surrounding you, because that same issue happens from the past and it's going to continue in the future. And I think that kids shouldn't be at school today. I think they should be in churches and organizations now learning about what they can still do to help the issues right now and what they can do to help their community, because there's a lot of problems right now and a lot of things that we still need to do.
When you say today, too, shouldn't be in school today, you mean on Martin Luther King Day?
Yeah, on Martin
Could you say
Luther
it that
King.
way for me?
Yeah, I don't think students should be in school on Martin Luther King Day. Maybe they should be, not at home, like just sitting around watching TV, playing games, but going out and learning something about our history and what our people did for us today and how we take it for granted.
Do you think that, this is for both of you, or I should see, did you have any other comments before I throw another question in? Oh, okay.
Whitney, yeah.
Come on in.
Wait.
Okay, I don't think we should have to, the protest goes farther than just having to start a march or a protest. You can be against what they're saying or doing by just doing good in school, getting a higher education, trying to be the best person you could be by trying to help your people without trying to create violence for no reason or anything like that. So I think the protest and the struggle can go farther than just trying to riot and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think, this is for everybody, do you think you get the kind of support you need from adults, from the community? I mean, assuming that you want to try to take action to bring about change, are you getting the right support? Or maybe another way to put it is, what could adults do, or could the community do, or the school do that they're not doing to make it more possible for you to, get involved the way that you want to? Or maybe there are. If there are no hindrances, that's okay.
There are hindrances, but it's not so big that it's impossible to try to change the world or whatever. But most schools, they don't teach you about your history. They teach you about, European is a part of our history, but they don't really go into African history and Asian history. They don't tell us the general view of it. They just go to one part of history. So I think by they can give us a better understanding of our history as American people by not just explaining European culture, but African culture and Asian culture and the Native American culture. And also I think instead of trying to push us away from our thoughts and what we believe in by saying, oh, you can't do that because it's wrong, I think they should let us express our views on the way we know how to do it, whether it be by using words that we're not supposed to say or whatever, but if that's the way we know how to express ourselves, I think they should let us do it that way.
Yeah, I also agree, because you might have been brought up a different way, and now in school they're saying, oh, you're doing something wrong, you're not doing it right, this is the way you're supposed to be doing it. That's not okay. Maybe that person might be wrong to you, and they're saying, oh, you shouldn't do it that way, come about it this way. Well, expressing your feelings is a freedom of speech. You can express your way any kind of way you feel that's appropriate, not offensive to anybody, but you still have the freedom of speech, and you should be able to express your feelings about the issue that's going on today. And in school we learn about, okay, slaves did this, African Americans are doing this now, but we're being taught things that probably aren't even true, and we don't know about it. And that's what we need to do today, is get the truth out and go out and have a freedom of speech right now and find out, what really did happen and how did they do this,
and what can we do to prevent it from happening again.
Right. That's what we need to do today.
And you, real quickly, how old are you all?
I'm 16.
I'm 15.
I'm 16.
Okay. Among all your friends and all the people that you know, does everyone feel the way that you feel, or do you think that there are more young people who need to have this kind of an attitude?
The majority of the people that I know, I think they feel the same way, probably even stronger about this. I know most of the African Americans, they say, well, yeah, we've been through that and we need to change it now and not let it keep going on, because if it happened to them and they waited, well, what do you think is going to happen to us if we wait? It's going to happen, it's going to get worse. I think they have a stronger feeling about what we're talking about right now. And then there's some people that really just don't care, but those people need to come out and actually give a care about what's going on right now, because it's going to affect them in the future. And when it does, then they're going to fuss about it, and we're going to say, well, why didn't you say anything about it? And we're like, oh, well, I forgot or something. That's the same thing with voting. You need to vote even if you don't like the person who's running, because they make a change in your life and in your children's life,
And you
and
only
so
gonna
on.
complain unless something go wrong.
Right.
But I disagree with her, because I feel that teenagers today are ignorant to the fact of the society around them. They're not concerned with, oh, well, George Bush is doing this. They're not concerned with, oh, this happened to the people in Louisiana, the Hurricane Katrina. They're not concerned with all those American soldiers went to Iraq to fight a war and they don't even know why they're fighting it. They're not concerned with it unless it happens to them. So I think young people need to get more involved with things that's happening around them, not just because it's not happening to them or to their family, but because it's happening to us as a people. That's what I think.
Well, what needs to happen? What would support people your age becoming more organized or becoming more actively engaged? Because I think that what some people see is that there isn't that much organization or activism occurring, and I'm wondering, is it a problem of leadership, or is it a problem of that you're not given the resources or the time, or how?
Yeah,
if
it's all that stuff you just
starting
listed.
today, saying we want to do these things. What's the missing ingredient that allows us to go to that next step?
It's like basically everything you just listed, like starting with school. Instead of having classes on gym, we don't necessarily need gym. What we need is a class about the things,
Current events.
right? Current events, like what's going on. Why are we being sent to Iraq? Because people don't really care about it unless it's happening to their family and them. They don't really care, like, oh, that person went to Iraq and they got killed. Okay, so what's on channel 26 right now? They don't really care unless it's happening to them right now. What we need is a class and a person teaching us every day what is going on. Why is George W. Bush doing this right now? Why in the world did we go to Iraq? What did they do to us? Right now, some of the kids that I know, they were like, oh, there's a war going on right now. And where? Pakistan? Where is it? They don't even know. Some of the people I know, they don't even remember September 11th. And that happens, I remember it every day. Like, oh, New York is never going to be the same. New Orleans is never going to be the same. But they don't care at all. And we need someone or an organization or a community or something to teach us those things, because some people don't get those resources that we do.
I think that since we spend the majority of our time in school, that has to play a big role in our lives, because most of the things we do are from past experiences. Yes, the past has a big impact on our lives, but what about what's happening now, what we're going to change now? So we do need a teacher or a leader or even the principal to step up and tell us what's going on in the world. Tell us help us to try to change it. Not reject our ideas and our thoughts, saying that you're children, you don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, that's what we need, more support.
Yeah, go ahead.
I also think that, like, we have Black History clubs in our schools. Some schools mostly have Black History clubs, and I think we need to strengthen our clubs. And, like, the people that's over it need to do more research and talk more about actual Black history and what went on, and bring different historians in, tell us about what went on, and then bring like a couple of people that know about what's going on in Iraq, the war, what's really going on, tell us about that and how we can do something about it. And I think another way to catch, like, since we are the majority, the young people need to do something. I think they need to put more things on TV and stuff like that, interact with us, something that'll catch our attention.
I want to come back to something you said too, because you said we need some leaders, some people to show us, some practical things. And the reason we're here today is Dr. King was a great leader, and he really galvanized people and was able to draw a large body of support from all parts of the country. Who are the leaders that you think of or look to today? And do we have enough of those, or are they the right kind?
The leaders I look up today are my parents and my teachers, because those are the people I spend the most time with. yes, we need to go back in history and admire what the historians have did in the past, but we also need some present day people that we can look up to, so we can say, like, oh, I want to be like them when we grow up. So I think children need more role models in their life that they can look up to, like their parents or some kind of family member or some teacher or something, because most teachers don't really interact with their students like that. And some kids don't have parents that are there for them so they can talk to them about anything. And if children are the future, then we need somebody to help us, because the future's not going to be how they want it to be.
Right.
Right.
Did you either you have something to say?
I
Because
also-
people ask about this is like, well, we had, Dr. King and Malcolm X and Ralph Abernathy. There's a
But
whole
who do
list
we
of
have
civil-
now?
Yeah,
Well,
like
that's the
who
question.
are the
Where-
people that we have to teach us this stuff now? Like, how are we supposed to know? We're just kids, as they say, compared to them. We're just kids. We don't know unless you tell us or something like that,
Or teach
or give
us,
us an
show us.
idea or show us or something like that what to do. Because if you want us to lead or something like that and change the world, well, if we change it and you don't like it, well, you can't say anything because you haven't taught us anything or told us anything. You need to talk to us. Like, okay, actors and stuff like that, they make a big impact too. They give to charities, they make movies about the past, and that's a good thing. That's a good start, and we need more of that, because what you're teaching us now, like principals and teachers, we look up to those kind of people to teach us what to do. Any kind of race, any person, we look up to those teachers. Oh, that's what we need to do. That's a bad thing. We shouldn't be going out doing drugs and drink alcohol, staying up late, not doing our homework and stuff like that. That's not what we need to do. We need to get a good education and teach it to our children and have them teach it to their children and continue that generation and start off better start.
But they always say get a good education, but how far will education get you nowadays? Because, like, people who have the highest education, they don't necessarily have the best jobs.
They don't even use it.
People who go to war, they come back, they think, okay, I'm going to have all the benefits, I'm going to be okay. And they don't have a job, they don't have nowhere to live, they don't have food. So what is the world teaching us? They tell us to get an education, but just because you have an education doesn't guarantee you a job or some other thing.
No, that's good. I appreciate that. I think we have to. Okay. Well, we'll try to wrap up this role. I appreciate you taking your time. And I just wanted to just come back to that just for one final question, which is, are we missing the personalities, the charismatic people at a state level or a national level who, when I was your age, Dr. King was, you would see him on the news, and he had such magnetism.
So much to
what
say.
he said was so powerful that, we looked up to our parents and all that, but then beyond that, at this national level, there were these leaders. And I guess what I'm asking is, where do you find those leaders? Do you have those at any level? Can you find those leaders, or if not, how do you think what do we do about that?
There is none. There are no leaders that we can look up to, especially not in the government. We don't have anybody to look up to, because what they're saying are, like, we don't know if it's the truth or not. They're telling us it's the truth, but then you find out more news that it's not the truth. So, voting plays a big part in it, but people don't like to vote. So we can't get the leaders that we want, the role models that we want in the government, because people won't do what it takes to change it, but they're always willing to complain. The people back in the 60s around Martin Luther King time, they were willing to sacrifice for change.
That's what we need to do now.
People stick together. People nowadays, they don't want to stick together. If they don't have nothing to do with them, then they don't care. But they don't realize that the bigger picture is it does have to do with them, and it does have an effect on their lives. But they only care when something goes wrong.
What did you want to do after school or for your career? I know I asked these two. But...
I want to be a teacher.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, now, chemist, teacher, psychiatrist, are there any adults that you had who have been role models that have kind of gotten you thinking along those lines, or did you just develop these courses independently?
My mom's a teacher, so yeah, I admire her.
I just like science. I'm like that type of person that likes science.
Did you know any psychiatrists?
I didn't know any psychiatrists, but like I watch movies and things like that, and it kind of got me thinking like, well, I think I can help people and just things like that.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming and thanks for sharing your ideas. And